Climate change. Okay. Okay. There is also limited making making it a difficult or a challenge to the youth to access resources. So I would like to go ahead and welcome my co-secretary to go through the rest of the points. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Mary. My name is Barbara Poon, and I'm a climate activist, and I was in this team that was on climate resilience and climate action. So I'll take you through the impacts of these challenges that Mary has talked about on climate change in Karamoja context. The first is low household incomes. Many households in Karamoja have very low incomes. That is as a result of climate change. The next one is high dependency. We had a youth in our team saying most of the people in his community are now depending on him because other households from within are failing to afford basic needs and even food. Then there is immobility due to the bad roads and insecurity. There is malnutrition and low harvests. As we all know, most of us here are Karamojongs and we are seeing what's happening out there. There is a lot of food insecurity, fields are dry. So, this is a major point. Um, then there is disrupted education, whereby some kids um, end up not going to school due to climate related issues, or you find that there is no food in schools. Then there is high risk, high rise of diseases. It might not be only diseases to the people, it might also be diseases to our animals. As we know, Karamoja is a pastoralist community. Then there is early marriage. Girls are being forced into marriages as a way of getting um, money or income into their homes. Then here we were able to list the existing assets we as Karamoja have that we can leverage in trying to combat against climate change. The first is the youth parliament. We're on Monday, we went for a youth parliament, and this is a great asset that we can use as the youth to bring in issues that are being faced in Karamoja, context specific, to that can be later taken into the national parliament. Then there is finances by government like PDM, MYOGA, etc., that can be used for climate financing and all. Then there is marketplaces. In Karamoja, there are market days that the youth can take advantage of. I'll go into the youth-led solutions that we the youth can do in trying to combat against climate change. First one is sensitization on use of existing water resources. We have very many dams. Sorry, with a few that are there are not being managed well. We had our panelists talking of the Kobebe Dam that's now dry and silted. So sensitization on how to use those catchment areas. Then exposure or exchange visits, whereby the youth of Karamoja can be taken to other places that are facing challenges that are similar to ours, so that we see what they are doing and we are able to benchmark them in our areas. And who knows, maybe they'll work. Then there is community biodiversity centers as a way of fighting against climate change, creation of social enterprises. Um, then there is adaptation of modern technology, utilization of government opportunities such as NUSAF 4, PDM, etc. All these can be used to combat against climate change. Then there is adopting macro irrigation schemes, like irrigation schemes on a large scale, because Karamoja currently there is very little water. So if we have these micro irrigation schemes, then there is carbon trading through the vast lands. And finally, livelihood diversification through kitchen gardens and many others. And as I conclude, lobbying for resources. Thank you.
A very big round of applause to the climate and resilience champions. Thank you. You've done us so well. I know we're all dying to have more input in all these sessions, but allow me present all of them, and then we do 5 minutes of just speaking into all of them, and then we go for our last panel discussion. Next up is Youth Power, Voice and Leadership. Council Member and your team. Please come with a flip chart stand.
A warm good afternoon to everyone that is here. I'll be presenting on behalf of the second group, that is Youth Power, Voice, and Leadership. So, some of the problems that were identified by the youth are one, the fact that there is limited information sharing, especially during the budgeting processes, right from the grassroots to the national level. And because they are not included in these processes, some of the recommendations that they have are actually not hard, but even some of the issues that they would ordinarily have tabled are not hard, and as such are not taken into consideration. The second issue is that there is insufficient representation of the youth within the northern region. And just to bring it to our attention, the Karamoja region is part of the greater northern region. And what this means for us in Karamoja is that when it comes to youth parliamentary elections, the people are supposed to vote for one youth leader, who very often we must accept within ourselves will not come from the Karamoja region. That means the region is left underserved and underrepresented, even at the national level. The third issue is the fact that there is corruption within the livelihood programs that kept on being discussed previously. That is the PDM, the youth livelihood programs, the disability grants. You find that whenever people apply for these programs and they actually qualify to get these funds, the people that are supposed to actually distribute these funds here take a cut from these funds. And so you find that if I would call them participants or beneficiaries, if a beneficiary is supposed to get, let's say, 1 million, very often they will move away, maybe say with 800,000 or 700,000, and the balance is given to the other party. The other issue is commercialization of politics, which has very often limited youth participation. We all know how the politics runs in the country. Everyone survives with handouts. And where does that leave a youth that is very passionate about their communities, about their country, that is not financially able to actually fund their political agenda? The fifth issue is the limited funding for youth governance structures. And this is tagged to the 12% of the non-conditional grant that is given to the youth councils to actually conduct their day-to-day activities and reach out to the communities and the people that they are supposed to be serving. The money that is allocated is very, very little and very insufficient. Then we have the generalization of Karamoja in the national planning. And this means that Karamoja's issues are not being contextual in nature. The issues that happen at, or rather within the different regions of the country are actually very, very different from the issues that happen within Karamoja. And because little or no attention has been given to these issues, you find that at planning level, little is done. Little is actually done to uplift the status of Karamoja, to serve the people of Karamoja effectively and efficiently. Then second, lastly, is that young people aren't meaningfully engaged in decision-making processes. and they're discriminated based on their ages. The youth say that whenever they get into rooms and spaces with the elderly people, very often they are not actually listened to based on their age, because the elderly believe that the youth actually do not have the required knowledge. Okay, so what are some of the solutions that the youth actually came up with? One is, and this maybe goes again to the youth. My group believes that the youth should actually engage the parish chiefs to hold consultations at community level such that the issues are prioritized. Uh, and once we push for this and it is achieved at the end of the day, then we are able to operationalize some of these consultative meetings, have your issues had to tabled down, and maybe some possible recommendations that could possibly come out at the end of the day, especially in relation to the budgeting processes. Secondly, is the youth believe that the CDO's office should continue to create more platforms for the youth to engage. Yes, the youth have affirmative action where they, have representation, they're able to run for some of these positions, but how effective are they actually using these platforms? And so beyond these positions that they are holding, the youth believe that the CDO's office should actually create more platforms where the youth come together and engage and find probably practical and contextual solutions to the issues that they face. Thirdly, is the youth are advocating for regional status for Karamoja. We believe that once Karamoja is given regional status, then the youth will be able to vote for their youth member of parliament to go and effectively represent them at national level. Then the youth are also advocating for an increase of youth funding from the 800 million that is there currently back to the 4 billion that was initially slated for them, and maybe also advocate for an increment of the 4 billion such that they are able to actually do the work that they are supposed to do and effectively serve their communities. Second, lastly, is the youth are also advocating that when these monies that are designed or rather allocated to be given to the district youth councils is ready, the same should actually be deposited in accounts that have been created for purposes of the youth councillors at district level to avoid mixing of funds and misaccountability and misappropriation of these monies. Then lastly, the youth recommend that a regional office is created within Karamoja for the Ministry of Karamoja. We cannot have Karamoja issues being discussed in Kampala. We need to have them discussed here in Karamoja. And so we are advocating that a regional office is created in Karamoja to have some of these issues listened to. With that being said, thank you so much.
A very big round of applause to the ladies. Yeah, I happen to have been in that group. They also mentioned that if we cannot have Minister of Karamoja cannot have an office in Karamoja, then perhaps they should operationalize the Karamoja Development Agency. Yeah, so that young people and issues of Karamoja can quickly be aligned to a particular office within Karamoja. Allow me invite the last breakout session, and that's on media, digital literacy, and civic storytelling.
Even 18 years.
Amni ya kodila jila toru koroi ang bay injeni amamuda ke ane te cha ni go kwa agu ake anacha yo kwa karayar ka ken ba tolo de
create that awareness in girls that whichever dreams they want, they should not
come up with something documented in a charter, but we had documented it in a book. We led a group of content creators and media practitioners across the region. in deliberating what could be the challenges surrounding their field, the impact of those challenges, the existing assets, and the youth-led solutions. Um, to begin with the challenges, the first one and the most impactful is the citizen journalism. This is everyone who is not trained media-wise can pick a phone, take any picture without any ethical considerations and put it on net. And at the end of the day, what could be the implications? There are a lot of implications surrounding citizen journalism. One could be defamation of character, which can lead you to court, and later on you can be charged on that. So it is one thing that they feel like it is also bringing their reporting down in a way that when you reach maybe a story scene and you're still building on the story, a citizen has already taken a picture or everything around there and is already circulating on media. So by the time you're developing a good story, because media and reporting goes on around sourcing for information, getting the right information before you could even put something out. So it is one thing. The other one are the cultural norms. That is, there are issues that the media could love to report about, but they are deeply rooted in traditions that makes it hard for them to source for information. Imagine situations like teenage pregnancies, maybe rape, incidences of rape that people know that it can be stories that can be penalized under criminal acts. But at the time you want to source for information, sometimes even the victims, we have had instances where even a child can be like, me, I want to get married, even when they are 15 years. Then now, how do you advocate for such a issue? It becomes very hard. Even instances where parents come in and say, like, we are giving out our daughter because we want maybe the cows. So you find such
Suppressed by the talks of the elders or the cultural norms. They should really
Pedorio, tayo na to joke. Ang pokoknya kayak gitu. Apa ini kayak kalau minggu? Lupa ini agak baru. Ini agak baru.
Ini agak baru.
Iya ini tuh lama dan antar gini.
Ya ramah gini ya.
Lama lah dari buta ini ini tuh kering ini apa ya?
Ntar saya pitela yari akai kako. Ay la tar tingela tuan.
If I have like to be having enough land and support, yeah, I could have actually big, actually something like even 18 acres.
Kami ni aku adalah jelas baru koroi. Saing bayi, macam ni ama muda kaya ane teca ni gue kokwa, aku kaya anaca. Iya kokwa karayar kakek mbak tolo teca.
Create that awareness in girls that whichever dreams they want, they should not be suppressed by the talks of the elders or the cultural norms. They should really come up and speak.
Same as. So it is something also that bars the media from making a good lens of reporting about the region, because there are already those existing propagandas that are bad about the region. So by the time they want to bring something positive about the region, it is over diluted by the propaganda. The other one and the last one on the challenges is access to information. In media reporting, most instances, if you are to publish a story surrounding advocacy, right now we are in a hunger crisis. How can we advocate best using the media? Sometimes it is hard to get information even from our local communities, even from our leaders. More often, media practitioners go to even offices of many of the local leaders and they're not given attention. How will they help to amplify the voices? Yet you cannot give them information. Many of our local leaders fear even to stand in front of the camera. Yet you're holding a public office. Maybe instances when you're busy, but as a leader, you should be at the eye of public speaking. You should be at the eye of talking for your people. So it is also one thing. They will want to report about something, but you cannot give them information. And in reporting, you cannot disseminate information that is one-centered or one-sided. You're supposed to report information. If it is affecting the local government, it should come from local government, from the community, from all the stakeholders around to make it a good story. So those are the challenges. When we get to the impact, I was explaining some of them also giving the impacts. The other one is dehumanizing of people, a challenge, an impact of citizen journalism or unethical reporting, whereby someone goes and picks a picture of a young child and posts it without internalizing what could be the impact. We have seen very many of those pictures. Just imagine when this child grows up and sees their photo trending somewhere that they were taken in 2026 when Karamoja was in a hunger crisis. That is why we see many of the teenagers, they go suicidal. Many of them come out to speak about their stories of rape. But you see how it is presented out. It makes someone even like, let me die because now people are saying this about me. So those are the impacts of citizen and ethical reporting. The other one is we are in a year where Karamoja is getting to the limelight in terms of industrialization, tourism, and a lot of development interventions coming to the region. But then if we articulate a story, you can talk something negative about Karamoja or a problem without portraying the negative part. But how are we going to achieve the tourism impacts if we are to attract many tourists to the region, but yet we still portray Karamoja as that bad area? Yet we still see people taking pictures of bad things out there in the region. The other impact is this one linked to the cultural norms is the local resistance. More often, the local communities, even if the media is trying so much to drive advocacy, but they meet resistance because of the rigid traditions. Many of our traditions are good, but there are those ones that we need to advocate for. There are those ones that we need to beg with our parents to let go so that the generation grows up with a more focused values. Um, the assets, something I can call what should be done before we give in the youth-led solutions could be information sharing and access. It is something that we've been preaching from the start of this summit till now, that let these offices, let our leaders be open to give information, even to the media practitioners, even to the local person there underground. Let them receive information about what relates. That's how you bring the community to relate to a lot of advocacy efforts. Even when you're going to pitch a story about anger crisis, give them information, the reason why you're doing that, and let them be open to speaking with you without fear, without them not knowing why you're doing that. The other one is trainings. For the media practitioners, it is something, this one goes direct to MCI and Restless, that the content creators of Karamoja still appeal that you conduct trainings for them that are on ethical journalism and reporting so that they can get insights on how to drive more on that. I'll give my colleague to give on the rest. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am Wea James Jemo, and I just want to continue from where my colleague stopped. On the side of trainings, we are very well aware that MCI actually conducted a training across Karamoja for the content creators. And we are still appealing that MCI continues with the same task and continues creating more other, training more other people, because we could maybe curb this issue of citizen journalism after we could maybe train a number of more other people from the region. And then also wanted us to do so much to all the people who are doing stories and who are doing maybe at least shooting those videos and putting them on internet. Kindly let's do advocacy stories. Let's not just do stories that spoil the image of the region. Can we do stories that advocate? Can we do stories that actually bring in constructive ideas from different people or different institutions in the region? I wanted us to go straight to the youth-led solutions. we need to surely, as different stakeholders, to create awareness on why we should actually post specific kinds of contents on social media, which we should post and which we should not post, so that people are aware that if I posted this, it can create a problem to him or herself. The other one is telling stories for constructive impact. I had already said it before. To all the storytellers, if you want an issue to be heard by maybe your district or maybe by your sub-county, can you see a way that you can construct that story or that thing that you want to post so that it is taken as a positive thing? You're only advocating. You're not creating enmity between you or between the community and that leader. The other thing is we need to create partnerships. I'm very happy that ISA 256, Restless Development, and MCI are here today. I would love other institutions also or organizations to come together and create partnerships. With one, there are groups that are actually in Karamoja that are content creators. I give an example of one I am chairing. I am actually the chairperson for the Karamoja Creatives of the region. So MCI and the rest of the institutions could actually partner with us, and we ensure that the information that comes out of the region is the information that is distilled, the information that serves its purpose, not just the information that is put out there just for the sake of being posted. Otherwise, thank you very much.
I still appeal to everyone here. Our social media creators are here. They do photography, they do videography, they do storytelling, and a lot of things. If you have a wedding, a business, an organization, you can patronize them, and they do excellent work for you. Thank you.
Okay. See how I'm going to charge someone money for announcements, adverts. Thank you very much, colleagues. I think we are appreciating young people's skills. Mr. MC, I want to work with you on this. I know time is not on our side, yeah, but I want to only borrow 5 minutes. Like I told you, the guys who have just finished were very good timekeepers, so they saved some 5 minutes, yeah. I want to allow us to just 5 people to speak briefly, and I repeat kindly, briefly. If you use more than 30 seconds, I'll move on to the next person. What do you think is missing in terms of across all the things we have discussed about? I just want to pick 5 people. There's a hand in the other side. There's another hand, Dr. Ayub there. And then there is a lady. The fourth person is where? There's a gentleman. Oh,
Thank you very much. For a politician, 30 seconds is a greeting.
Yeah, I know. But I'm
So,
believing that.
Yes, mine is just solution oriented. I was much more interested in youth power leadership and decision making. So my contribution will basically be around there, and much of it is just solutions. What do I also think should have been mentioned? One of the things that I think can empower the youth is youth debates. Why do I mean by youth debates? We need programs like these ones. You know, in Buganda, there was what they used to call a chimesa in radio programs. That's what we need our current youth to do. That's what will increase advocacy, especially on radios. I've always heard every Sundays or something like that, there's an elder that goes to talk about land, but nobody's listening. Most of the youth at that time are leading groups. They are chairmen of Marua groups at that time. They don't even listen. We have programs in these radios. You hardly hear uneducated youth responding. You get only those villagers, and what do they ask them? What has annoyed you? You just imagine that. Then the people start talking about rumors and so on. Can we take up that space for the rest of us? We take up that space and do debates. Talk of issues of Karamoja. Talk of investors. Let's go there so that our people can hear us arguing the way we had a panel like this one. The other one is skilling. The issue of skilling, yes, we have industrial hub, we have what? What are they skilling people for? Can those people join even a quarry? They cannot work anywhere. Now, we need real skilling if we have to join these factories. For me, I think that we do reskilling. If you have finished a university degree, a diploma, and you are not able to get a job, let's ask these Chinese to support us and retrain these guys. Come and work in their factories. That's what they did, the people of Weimar, when they found that there is oil. What the task government was, they started tasking government to train their sons in line with petroleum and oil. The problem we have is short-term planning. When we talk of 10 years, because the youth currently wants to get a job. At the beginning, somebody says, for us, we are planning for the future generation. If it has failed from us, let's plan for those behind us.
Thank
So
you.
that our children are trained in that area.
Thank you, Chair.
You don't need another solution?
We
don't know whether you have more.
kindly pass them to us.
Another one is attitude to work. Attitude to work. Youth select jobs. Everybody wants to become a cow. We can't become all a cow. Now, what we need to do is, it is not mindset change. How you said mindset change. For me, I think we need to develop programs. As NGOs, we need to develop programs that are aimed at mindset development. Because when you talk about mindset change, even your mind, the one who is speaking, has not changed. You still believe people cannot change. So what we need to do is to develop the mindset of a person to what we think works better. I come to funding. The youth need direct grants if we have to make them activities. In local governments, there is no money for youth, but they can bring money for agricultural officers. Why don't you also get grants directly that can help youth activities from local government? They say we should get taxes, money from taxes, but we have a low tax base. It can't help. And also comes to partners. We as partners, I can count a number of partners. There are about 8. You just imagine how this money is spread to so many of those partners. It is spread to the thinnest. What comes for activities is very small. Imagine 4 embassies versus 4 partners. How much money is each embassy getting? It's equivalent to one. What? So let's make sure that real agenda of localization is implemented properly.
Thank you, Chair. A round of applause to Chair. There is a lady the other side. Dr. Ayub, I'm going to skip you because of some reasons. Yes, there's a lady there.
Yes, hello. I'm online. I have the microphone.
Please speak.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Amagi Lolem again. I'm the district CDO Moroto. I just want to thank the young people for organizing this forum, inviting leadership and the technical people to speak to us. Mine is about strengthening platforms and leadership of the young people. I think that is where we should invest. I know the young people have their technical leaders placed in the different departments. Then we also have elected leaders right from the grassroots to the district level or national level. But I want to ask, what are you doing to mobilize your teams? What have you done for your people as leaders? Because I saw in the discussions, most of the things are pointing to the district leaders, to the NGOs, but we gave you the opportunity. You have a youth policy that speaks to you, that empowers you as youth to take on and be able to lead and mobilize for the rest. That is the power you have as leaders. But I haven't seen many come up strong fighting for their rights. It's just a few, a handful fighting. That is what we don't want to see. When I get to programs, actually my department has done a lot. We have YLP. I heard from somebody say, it is the young people at the district benefiting, that the grassroots is not benefiting. It is a lie. Why are you a leader who doesn't give information to the grassroots. That is why you elected. That is why you are appointed in that position to support the young people at all levels. When I look at YLP, as a leader, your work is to mobilize. As the technical people, the CDOs do their work to support the process. But I know people run away from this funding just because it has a bit of processes. You know, young people are very energetic. They want quick things. But I'm telling you, in the Uganda of today, let us be patient. We work through processes. We follow guidance. We just don't jump. That is why I told you in the morning that we shouldn't be anxious. Let us follow guidelines. While P is giving you money, PDM, you have a portion. My colleagues will correct me. I think you have a 30% benefit as young people. And you have your leadership to mobilize you for this. Under WEP, we are targeting young mothers. Where are you? Can you tell us you're not benefiting? The skilling hubs have skilled the young people, and I'm happy government has opened up a circle for the young people, and money is put in the circle. I don't know how many are benefiting. You were talking of skilling. We are skilling you with already capital. How are you utilizing that capital?
Madam, in 30 seconds.
Yes.
Thank you.
Scholars are there to discuss, and that is why we are here. Yes. Allow me speak. So, yeah, it's good. It's good to speak. We want this educative fora. People should know that the resources are there. It is you who is not tapping into the resources. So the circle is there. Money is given to the circle for the different skilling programs to benefit. But how many can testify and say we have received this money? We are here crying, government, we are looking at factories, we are looking at what? Why can't you start small and use what you have to develop? We start small, then grow. You are given equipment. Some of you have sold the equipment. And where is the leadership to support us in recovering the equipment that was given to you? So I know I'm not the only speaker. We have a lot to say, but that was my take, and that is my take home. I think as a department, we have to re-engage the leadership to support us work together. Because as a department, we cannot work alone. You have representatives who should really come up and stand and say, this is what we want to do. These are the people who have benefited. These are the people who have been skilled. Without that, then without leadership, the strong leadership, don't blame people. I'm this open. Don't fall back to NGOs. Don't fall back to anybody. Start small. Go back to the drawing board. Use what we have. Appreciate that. Then we can start asking for more. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. A round of applause to kindly. This session is done. Allow me move us to the next session. Yeah, we are going to have these discussions. We are continuing up to tomorrow. So I'm very sure we'll have another time to capture all those interesting.
Pedulio, kaya apa aja pun. Ang pokoknya kayak gitu. Apa ini kayak kalau minggu? Lo kok ini agak baru? Ini agak baru?
Ini agak baru.
Iya nya tuh lama dan antar gini.
Ya ramah gini ya.
Lama kan dari buta ini tuh kering ini apa?
Ntar saya pitela yeri akai kako. Ay la tar tingela tuan.
Amboy que te ve mama
If I have like to be having enough land and support, yeah, I could have actually big, actually something like even 18 acres.
Kamni ako dila toru koroy. Ang bay injeni ama muda kaya ne te cha ni go kwa. Egu kaya na cha. Yo ko kwa karayar ka ken ba tolo de cha.
Create that awareness in girls that whichever dreams they want, they should not be suppressed by the talks of the elders or the cultural norms. They should really come up and speak.
Politicians, and so on. So in this panel, I'm inviting Lokol Paul, the former LC5 Biladuk. I'm also inviting Ojok Jimmy, the DCDO Pabong district. Solomon Helungat, the environmental expert from the office of the Prime Minister, who made a keynote address this morning. He left. Anyone there? Okay. So Akure Obsta from National Youth Council. Then Dr. Ayub, CSO representative. As they step in, I want to applaud those who have just concluded the other session, and it is going to build on the discussions will be building on what we have just finished from the previous discussions. And this is more focusing on the policy engagement for youth in the region. One of the critical objectives for this discussion is that we want to provide a safe space, a structured platform for young people to present their policy questions, receive direct responses, and also secure practical commitment from the duty bearers. These are some of the representatives of duty bearers. Of course, also the podium is open to ask questions later. Mining time. Bona panelists, the youth presented their challenges, the problems, the issues. I don't know how you'll call them, either problems, challenges, the issues. They also presented possible solutions, impacts, how climate change policy is impacting on their daily lives. These are just a few youth representing the larger group of young people that someone was saying there are about 360,000 young people in Karamoja sub-region. And these are just a few things the youth have presented to us. Just for a round of discussion for all of us, I want to briefly that when you are responding to these questions, say your name so that I don't give again a round of introduction for yourselves. So when you are responding, mention your name, what you do, and then proceed with your response to the question. Because that's the rule now. Looking at your unique positions, this is a question for all of us. Looking at your unique positions as duty bearer, do you have any potential agreement with the issues that the young people have raised? And you think young leaders, youth, especially from the region, are seeing something that's completely different from what they are saying? Or do you see something unique in our young people, appreciating the problem they have raised? Thank you. I will start with Paul, then.
Thank you very much, moderator. Once again, my name is Local Paul. I'm a former district chairperson for Nabilatu. I have my chairperson here, Honorable Lokiru Benedict, who says his stage name is Natimat. And I contested not for his position, though. I think maybe that's the reason we team together. And I think it is important also to encourage that leaders work together, past and present leaders, so that we can move this region to the next stage. Currently, I am at home working with some experts. These experts have worked with them for some time to create local knowledge. Not really to create, but most important to be able to understand them and present the local knowledge. I founded the Institute of Peers. Institute of Peers is the Institute for Pastoralist Empowerment and Ecology Restoration Services. So we deal a lot in putting together local knowledge and using it for advocacy. Our part is not data, we are not in information, we are just in knowledge. So as to be able to influence decision makers to take decisions based on indigenous knowledge. And we focus more on rain and sunshine and sun, the rain and the sun and its impacts. So that's for another day. For now, I think I am sat here listening to the youth, and the moderator said, "Are they really eating the things that we have been discussing before, or they are bringing new ideas?" Both. I have seen youth discussing our very realities. I've been a district chairperson, I say again, the youth seem to be aware of the challenges that we are facing together as a region. And I think that's why we converge with the youth. But I've also seen new energy. The youth, one, starting to propose in their own perspective what they think is a solution. Except in this room, I see they are misplacing most of the things to the district. Most of the things that have been discussed by the youth cannot be solved by the district. They can either be solved by the parliament or some institution which is yet to be created, because most of them are new. And I think this is where we can thrive, where the new idea comes, then create new institutions and be able to create new solutions. So I appreciate what the youth are saying, agree with them, except most of the things are displaced. And I also see the youth here lamenting a lot, uh, blaming the existing situations, but not aspiring to create new opportunities for them where they can be able to rise. Because if you say employment and you think the district is the one going to employ you, it may not happen. The district chairperson of Kabong already came here and said, "You people go and create your jobs." And I think from where I came from I said I'm a former chairperson. I should start to say we really need to be able to create jobs or push government to create jobs. By the way, government is supposed to create jobs anyway. Our government is supposed to create jobs. But with decentralization, I do not think that it is local government that has to create jobs. Until the president comes and says, "I'm creating relevant jobs for you." It is a duty of government to create jobs for its citizen. I am not saying relax. You create jobs while pushing government to create more jobs so that more of our youth can be absorbed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. I want to ask the same from what Paul has said, that there is youth are doing a lot of lamentation. Obsta, from you as a youth person representing National Youth Council, and also as a leader sharing the sessions for children and youth in the National Youth Council, do you agree with the youth's position when they are sharing their problems? Are they misplaced problems or they are the realities? Thank you.
Very good afternoon to you all. My name is Hopsta Akure. I am a youth leader for Karamoja and Uganda at large, a former candidate for Northern Youth Member of Parliament. Those are 4 sub-regions, Karamoja, Acholi, Lango, and West Nile, with about 42 districts. And currently, the newly appointed Ambassador for Youth and Children Uganda. I am also behind Karamoja Entertainment Awards. I love music so much, and the young people actually love music. According to what Honorable Kola said, I should say it is 50-50. Tracing that we were elected at District Youth Council, and we have 3 representatives at national. That is the chairperson, and then we have the secretary for finance, and then the female affairs. So those 3 that are elected from the district, in the council we have about 9, 9 executives. Then we had 2 who are the female and male councillors of every district in Karamoja or Uganda at large. And then we have students representatives. So that makes us 9. We were elected last year and we assumed office this year. We have had a lot of challenges that affect the young people right up to the grassroots. Personally, my theme or slogan for my contest in Northern Youth Member of Parliament was grassroots youth empowerment. We wanted to trace back to the grassroots and see that this grassroots actually benefit from the government programs that usually are extended. But you realize that in most cases, as much as this information is supposed to reach the grassroots, we don't have this information, which makes it very difficult for a person, let's say someone in the crowd, to cope up with what is actually being done right from the village up to the district. So you realize that the information is actually limited. So that alone is a problem. However, we as Karamoja National Youth Council, we have a caucus with executive. Then even at the national level, we have a representative from Karamoja. And then we have our five youth MPs. We have 4 regionals, Eastern, West, Northern Uganda, and then Central. Then a national female youth member of parliament who is supposed to represent all the female in Uganda. So one thing that I should say is that one, the CDOs might have done their part, which we appreciate, but the fact that we have just gotten into leadership, we have been oriented, but as we were running for this different position, we already know our roles and responsibilities. I think the best we can do is to have a very good working relationship with this technical team, because when you have, you'll be able to deliver. And trust me, many of us will an impact. Then the other thing that I would say, it is very true.
Conclude.
Another thing I would say is that in Uganda, as much as National Youth Council derives right from the village, we have 5 up to the district, and then we have representatives to the national. You get to know that we have, limited participation or inclusiveness of the young people in some of the budget, committee, which becomes very difficult for one to get information about the young people, because you cannot tell me that, sincerely speaking, someone at a particular age, let's say 50, understands the issues of the young people more than us. It has to start, because there is nothing that starts without us. So it is important for us, the young leaders of Karamoja, to make sure that we actively participate. If there is need for mobilization, go ahead and do mobilization. Let this information reach the grassroots, so that they can benefit from some of these government programs. About PDM, I have done, I've been touring almost the entire country. I have gotten a lot of challenges. It is very true that these parish chiefs actually always want to get what we call a kickback or commission. So as much as someone is entitled to get 1 million, you'll get to know that they might have only received probably 800 or 900, and the 100 remains for the other person. Do you then expect this person to, how do you expect this person to mobilize this money, knowing that they have actually eaten a big portion, but not what they were supposed to have received? So I think, back to our young leaders in Karamoja, it is our responsibilities to preach the rightful information, so that these people have this information and they know who to go to, who to run to in case anything like this happens. When it comes to government programs such as PDM, it is very true that young people in every district is supposed to get 30%. Yes, we get the 30%. There are even other districts that have gotten more. There is what we have as others, the 20%. It is our responsibilities to make sure that we guide these people and benefit so that we can impact our lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Obsta. Coming to Jimmy. Jimmy, one of the problems you discussed in the climate action and resilience group was exclusion from the programs, also including in the committees, such as the DMC, the LEC, and the local environmental committees, and so on. One of the assessments by Kayese and Restless during the social audit, youth social audit, showed that formal climate governance structures exist in all the 9 districts of Karamoja. But it was also discovered that there is systematic way how the youth have been excluded from most of these committees, the structures, the DDMC, the District Security Committee, etc. Only the comprises of the heads of department. So it means that if a young person is not a head of department, for example, then they are not part of the DDMC in the district. For example, giving the voice from Nabila Tuk district, one youth say that it's only if they qualify to the being a head of department or from somewhere of being a LC5. Like if you see the LC5 of Moroto is a young man, so he can participate in that level, but in his authority, not even as a young person. So what do you think of this existing gap, that involvement of young people in these spaces is very limited and very tied to this kind of qualification, for example? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Pius. My name is Ojok Jimmy again. I work as a DCDO for Kabong. I must acknowledge that the researchers were professionally biased because the area of interest is purely on climate change. The area of interest is purely on disaster management. I should start by saying that government developed a policy on disaster. We have the National Disaster Policy, I think 2012. In that policy, it provides that membership should be drawn from heads of department. When we have department that oversee youth activities and programming, and that is the Department of Community-Based Services. So if I am in that committee of DDMC, that one tells you that all the special interest groups are represented in the DDMC. And who are these special interest groups? We have the youth, we have the women, we have the children, we have the PWDs. I also want to bring it fires that there are so many other platforms where the youth can articulate their issues. During the presentation, in fact, the first panel discussion, there's been a concern that the youth have been excluded from the planning process. This is not true. I was even in one of the discussion. The youth raised that they are not being involved in LC1, I mean in the planning process at the village level. This one is not true because at the village level, the village council comprises of everybody in the village, age 18 and above. And the youth council members are already part of the village council. What special invitation do we again need? But I also want to acknowledge that at the lower local government, that is at the sub-counties, parishes, and town council, the structures are limping because of limited funding. But at the district level, the coordination has been very robust. I have worked with, I think, 4 youth councils so far, and they've been very happy with the way I've been involving them in programming. We have been organizing quarterly coordination meetings of the youth council with the 9 members. All issues raised have been escalated to the Committee of Social Services. They have also reached the floor of the council. So there's no youth who can claim that they have been totally left out. But also, I want to reiterate other structures like a district committee on adolescent health. This one has been established with the guidance from Ministry of Health. This committee specifically handles sexual reproductive health and rights of young people. And the committee comprises also members drawn from heads of department. So where you see a DCDO involved, just know the youth issues have been fully incorporated in the committee. And then there are also youth corners in major health facilities. There are some health center 3, there is the main hospital where there are youth corners. The youth go and get information concerning sexual violence. The youth that are distressed get counseling services. The youth that are distressed also go for recreational services. They play games like cards, they play games like chess, they play games like Scrabble, so that they can forget about their trauma. But above all, we also have PM as a vehicle. My senior, Maggie, has already alluded to that. PDM being a vehicle that government is using to drive the economy to middle income states is providing for the youth. Out of the 100 million that is injected in the parish, the youth take home 30 million. But I know there are also issues of corruption. Corruption is a malady that is widespread. We cannot eliminate it. From LC1 level up to the highest level, you'll find that there is corruption. But of course, we have institutions that have been put in place to fight this corruption. I was sharing with my youth that if they feel intimidated in reporting corrupt tendencies in government, then they can invoke the Whistleblowers Act. In the Whistleblowers Act, you can report any case of corruption anonymously. You can also use a pseudonym. If you are called Nakiru, you can say, I'm called Natiang. I'm calling from Katile. There's a case of PDM. Parish Chief B has diverted funds meant for the people. These are the names. Please, can you come over? Within the blink of an eye, the IGG will be in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. I want to bring that discussion, the last point of yours, to Dr. Ayub. When it comes to, of late, demanding for accountability and transparency has become a life risk job for young people. I felt to be one of the victims of this reporting that Jimmy has said, where the DSCs sold jobs, and then we blew up disinformation, and I was summoned to police to write a statement, and so it became a life risk for some of us to demand for accountability. And then you ask questions whether fighting for accountability and transparency in systems is becoming a risk or continue the fight. So, Mr. Dr. Ayub, you've acknowledged that this is already existing, that it's a life risk and a safety is required for young people who are trying to demand for accountability in different government projects like PDM of late, and also the DSC in terms of employing young people. So if we demand for accountability, we are subjected to legal action because we are exposing what is happening at the dark point. So how do we establish mechanisms that are safer for us to whistleblow without being pressed? And why should we actually be pressed? The demanding for accountability. Thank you.
Thank you so much. First of all, I disqualify that statement that when you demand for accountability, you are subject for legal action. I disqualify it. And then let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Ibu Mukisa. I head the Karamoja Anti-Corruption Coalition and also working in the Department of Critical Thinking and Alternative Analysis in the same organization. I am being hosted by my former local and the new LC5, Mr. Natmat Benedict. So that I've disqualified the statement at first. But the issue is like this. When it comes to demanding for accountability, why are people getting issues? Is the lack of evidence. And I'm sure The police called you because you were using rumor mongering. And we don't look, when you are dealing with accountability, don't look at, for me, where I come from, it's not only evidence. Evidence is we don't need the evidence, but we need what they call empirical, justifiable, anecdotal, incontrovertible evidence, which can be triangulated and to give the same result, the same results. They could have arrested us. I know when you deal with governance, accountability issues, automatically you are in the microscope and people are looking for how can we arrest you. However, for the youth, Ross has been talking about people posting things. Kindly post data which is empirical, whereby even if they take you to police, you can get evidence from all from those. Then additionally, as you don't post things individually if you are fighting corruption. We advise so much formal structures. I was in the office of the LC5 when I took the current one, and was telling me about the issue of forming structures. Formal structures and go digital. Use these applications. Because he has been talking about anonymity, reporting anonymously. However, if you have structures and the district knows you, don't do it. I tell people that in the fight against corruption, go and undress yourself in front of the RDC, the L5, the town, undress and don't hide anything. And then they will give you information because even themselves are struggling. The District Service Commission, when they're giving these jobs, not every, there are like 5 people, this one gets 5 million, but he also says, no, I was given only 2. And he gives this one 500. And they will come and tell you, he got 5, but he gave me 2. Source of information. So I told you I disqualified the statement, and for the youth, aggregate yourself. Report as a group, form a structure, and kindly go to the government and tell them, because work with the government, don't go in we have the Whistleblowers Act. But the Whistleblowers Act, the problem it has is that you are reporting anonymous, and the people here are too poor at keeping record, keeping secrecy. But if you are 70 people and that these are Cotido, youth, and corruption, you go and engage in the car of corruption. Doesn't fear anything. And so we are here, and they'll give you all the information. That's the first response I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I'm back to Paul. You talked about youth being more speculative and also giving wrong information somewhere. But one of the recent youth engagement in districts, in local governments on youth social audit shows that youth participation in government programs and meetings are being limited to only the consultation process. And this question can still cut across to all of us, especially on information sharing, meaning that youth are only present in the dialogue space like this one, but in the subsequent implementation of the actions, they get excluded slowly from the decision-making power. Is this true? And what specific institutional reforms can we suggest that we can put in place to move this forward, especially if this information on government programs are delegated to authority and genuine governance processes? Thank you.
Yes, I think it is true that youth are consulted and at time of taking decision. There is making decision and there is also taking decision. I can confirm to you that it is true that our institutions allow youth to be consulted. They participate anyway. And then at the end of the day, when it is time for taking decisions, they don't guarantee that there is a youth starting from the village level. But also, I want to put a disclaimer that there are a number of encumbrances that have been dealt with the law. The institutional arrangement is such that youth are consulted. But it looks like the legal arrangement allows the youth actually even themselves to take a decision. I think I should just first begin from there. that youth are allowed to make and take a decision, but the institutions allow them only to participate. We just had Jimmy narrate the arrangement. The youth at our level have got youth councils right from village level up to national level. The youth councils elect uh, their leaders, two representatives always at every level, or for the sake of parliament, I'm told there are five. They are elected to a legislature. So that, I think, is what you are calling consultative bodies. But also I want to keep us in mind that the legislation, how do you call it? The council, parliament, those guys, they also they also they make and take decisions, because the issue, for example, of appropriation in parliament and council is taken by council. It is not an executive issue. The only problem we could be having is having the youth where decisions are taken. That is the sub-county executive committee. There is no arrangement. There is an arrangement that at least two-thirds must be women. Isn't it like that? They have not said at least one must be a youth. I have not read that in the law. Also, at the cabinet where the president, currently President Museveni, sits, there is no arrangement of imposing that he chooses the youth. It is not there. But he chooses to make people to represent the youth. In the last term, by the way, this term you are lucky, youth and children. You have Lakisa. But the last time it was Balam. Balam was more than my age during that time, was appointed Minister of Youth and Children Affairs. And I think that's why youth feel disenfranchised. At the district executive committee, where I've been a district chairperson, I we did nobody dictated, no law dictated that I should select the what? The youth. It is at the wish of the chairperson. And you know, these things, when they come at the wish, they come as privileges. The chairman can now even go to account to the youth and say, like, you saw the district chairpersons here trying to radiate. They were saying, even me, I have a vice who is a youth. Even me, it's like it's a privilege. It's not entrenched in the law. I think that's, for me, why the law has to be, not the law, the institutional arrangement should be arranged very well so that we can accommodate this position that the youth must be everywhere. But I've said that does not stop the youth from participating. Like they have elected a chairperson of Moroto who is still a what? A youth. You can be there. Because in 2015 or so, was that the time when they removed the age limit for the president? Or 2011? Somewhere there. Age limit for president now is removed. Even a person of 18 years, for as long as you are 18 years and up to 75, you can contest and be elected. So you can contest for president and be elected. Instead of shouting, why are they not putting us? You be there. The one that had remained was that of LC3. By the way, I benefited from that. I was not supposed to become the LC5 chairperson, because at the first, the law was only allowing people above the age of 35 to become a district chairperson, LC1 chairperson, LC3 chairperson. During the time when I was entering politics, in 2020, although they removed even the ones of chairpersons, it's now open. If you are 18 years, up to 100 years, you can contest for chairperson. There is no room for us to lament. Why are you not contesting? Moreover, it is the youth who are 80% of the power. Before, when we come to campaign, we say, hey, youth, hoye. So as to first bribe the youth and they elect you. Why are youth not contesting? So, there is already affirmative action. It has been mentioned in this room that at least 30%, they even don't limit you to 30%, but at least 30% of everything in a Mioga, PDM, apart from YLP, which is yours totally, and the web must go to youth. This, for me, these arrangements are enhancing youth. By the way, for YLP even, it is youth alone that take decision. The district chairperson cannot interfere with YLP. The YLP is given from parliament to the Ministry of Gender From the Ministry of Gender, they communicate to the DCDO that this is a part of the youth. Sometimes we just only see letters and say, yes, yes, yes. As a district chairperson, you say, yes. But you can never participate in the youth meetings, this quarterly youth meetings. Even their allocation, we just receive in council. It is discussed at the committee. Even by the time it comes, it does not come as a business of the chairperson. So the youth have their opportunities. I don't know why they waste their opportunities, then they come to the rooms to lament. And I just want to annoy you a little bit so that you get up. The BPD of recent contracts were not before, there were no explicit contracts for the youth. But of recent, I think last year, PPDA was amended. Now to allow, I think about again, 15? I think it is 15 or 30. But I don't know why my head is running to 30. If it is still 15, you rise up and say, we want 30. How can 80% of the population get 15%? That's another question. But for you, I think that's why you need really to shout, and so that this thing is enhanced for you, for the youth. I feel the youth moderator are taken care of. They only have a few things to reform. Maybe they should check on these consultative areas. Like one of the weakest things, weak that it cannot even do itself, is youth councils. Can you imagine youth councils, after electing their leaders, the representatives to council, they don't charge their leaders? I've never had even youth councils threatening to withdraw, I mean, the mandate from one of their leaders. That leader you have elected is not elected by the youth generally. It's elected by a youth council. These 99 persons are the ones who elect. But when they come to council, they sleep kabisa and start talking about people's contracts. They never mention about the youth. That's the weakness. We need to empower the youth councils. We need to reform, or even maybe the other thing is even the money government has given these people. That's the worst money we have ever seen. It's never recoverable. It's supposed to be a revolving fund. But you go to all our districts and you check whether your youth councillors and the chairperson of the youth are running that fund very well. The reason they has kept dwindling. Nabila took at one point, I think we received only 1 million shillings. And what can 1 million? One of the presenters, Daniel Ugalemia, was saying, what can 1.2 million shillings do for Moroto? I think the issue again coming from the youth council. You eat what is there, recover it, and charge the president to have the money. Actually, it's the president who brought this money, and he has a duty, by the way, to give you more money. Do you know that government can get any amount of money? We can even request for trillions, and government can put. Government never runs out of money. If there is one thing that government has, it is money. Even when your taxes are low, government can mobilize what we call treasury bills and bonds using the bank, the central bank, and it purchases money. It gives you a debt. There is no problem living in debt. If it is meant to improve the future so that those people can contribute to a better economy. So for the youth, I think you have not used what you have been given well. It is time for you to rise up. Let's rise up together. We start utilizing the opportunity. And maybe the other thing which is lacking in terms of institutions is the youth, where they are not there, I can also admit. The youth of Karamoja are the ones who must be talking. They do not have proper representation. Last year, God helped them so much. God agreed with Satan, and Karamoja was elected to become a member of parliament for the first time in the history of this country. And also because the child was well placed. Also because the child was well placed. We really fought for that girl. Now, next time, we do not know whether the next MP of Northern Uganda will ever come again from Karamoja. So there is a reason for us to mobilize ourselves, and they cut for us our region so that only marginalized people can go there and be one of them should be elected. The other thing, the last I think I want to propose is the issue of introducing age limit in boards and commissions of government. When you go to electoral commission, I doubt whether there is a youth. But that's why elections are rigged. That's why they are planned. So there must be a youth to bring the youth perspective about election in these boards. Education commission, health commission, local government finance commission, all those we must be able to involve youth. But whenever I go, like Equal Opportunities Commission, there is somebody representing the youth. They're all human. And we must drum up. We must drum up so that government hears the youth that we can no longer be represented when we form 80% of the country's population. Enough is enough. So for me, that's why I come from. The issue of institution. It looks like, apart from putting deliberate efforts that we now put the youth to executive body, maybe if you still need affirmative action anyway. But really, why do 80% of the population? Why do you need affirmative action? Why can't you elect all these leaders, youth, chairman, district youth, LC1 youth, so that we occupy the what? The position. Because it's a game of numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. That's a very energizing contribution from your side. Of course, it's not that youth are treated as special interest groups. So we are lumped in women, people with disabilities. So if you found a woman in Equal Opportunity Commission, it's either because we are in a special interest group. So you see that old woman is now taking our voice also forward. That's like Jimmy said that in the DDMC, is representing all these special interest groups. That means that the youth voice will disappear easily. The women voice will also disappear easily. So Jimmy may represent from his mandate as a head of department, but then he will not provide the necessary space the young person would have said in that meeting because Jimmy is not a youth. That's the fact. Any DCDO who is sitting in that department is not a youth. So we need young people in that DDMC. Chairman Walim, we want a youth in that DDMC so that representation becomes a representation, not just participation through a proxy. You know, proxies are always on business. Thank you. I want to conclude this conversation with the youth leader who is in the panel. It is established that budgeting in the district is very important, the budget conference. But the budgeting begins from the grassroots. True? The process of budgeting begins at the sub-county level, where ideas or budget processes are starting. But then in the processes, there are what's called a gatekeeper in these budgeting processes. Either youth are included in the budget, in the process itself, or not. So, as a youth leader or a youth representative at the national level, for example, uh, institutionalization or direct youth oversight is not a priority, I think, even in these programs. So, in your planning, in the planning process and monitoring, how best can we ensure that youth are central in this process of monitoring, in the budgeting, and also in the planning stages, all to the entire implementation process and evaluation of the programs that affect them? How best can they be included?
Thank you so much again. I'll go straight to the point on the policies that we intend to adopt for Karamoja youth as a sub-region to national, and then I'll go on and respond to some questions that were asked before. So number one, it is very true that budget starts from the sub-county. Many young people are not mobilized and they don't take part in this. It is now our responsibilities as the youth leaders to make sure that we engage, mobilize the young people to participate in this actively, and we should have a big number. This is where we list our priorities as the young people. of our different districts within Karamoja. And then when we list these priorities, we push this debated at the district. We have representatives, that's the chairperson for the youth, and the two councillors, male and female. These are our voices at the district. But we also intend to make sure that we advocate or put policies that will allow more participants or youth leaders within the district at the district council to make sure that we have a good number to actually raise this and push so that the young people benefit from this budget. The other thing that he has talked about is gatekeeping. It is very true. We, as the young people, because we have limited information, we don't, this information that is supposed to benefit us, because honestly speaking, there is no way you can argue a case when you are not informed. So we don't know which project is supposed to be maybe given to the young people. But when you are informed and you have this information, it is very easy to identify those priorities that are meant for the young people. They're implemented because the government gives money to run those activities. So what we intend to do is to make sure we look at the location of where those projects are meant to take place from. We are also meant to go ahead and look at the rightful beneficiaries. Are they the youth that have actually been identified? Are they the real beneficiaries? If yes, well and good. We can go on and have it. We will also make sure that money is stressed because we already know if they're releasing, let's say 5 billion from central back down. Remember, you're already informed, you have this information. It is very easy for you to trace. Okay, it is very easy for you to trace the government projects, the beneficiaries of that particular government project, and then you're going to monitor. But just that we have limited money that should help us run the monitoring of some of these government programs. But it is in our plan to make sure that we advocate for more resources that will enable us move around up to the community to really make sure that the rightful beneficiaries actually benefit from this. Now, from that, you'll be able to evaluate, okay, the project, which is key, most importantly, and the rightful beneficiaries have actually benefited. The other one of, I think I've handled even just that the youth don't have authority to monitor. We just have specific people, okay, as young leaders within the sub-region to make sure that they monitor. So it is important for us to empower these young people with resources. And then they also have to have authority because you cannot just move anywhere and start asking, what does the government have for us? Has it been implemented? Who are those people who are implementing? So when we handle some of those things, we'll be able to address this issue. It is true, Karamoja really needs to be given special attention. You cannot compare us with the people from maybe Western Uganda, no. We have set our priorities, which we are sure we'll be able to adopt, and with the help, not only with the help of the government, but also other development partners, such as Restless and the rest. So we'll come knocking to your door to request you to empower the young people so that we can monitor and have some of these things done. Now, back to skilling. It is true. We have a presidential industrial hub just right here in a park. But even the number of the young people that are admitted at the industrial hub are very minimal. Karamoja has 9 districts. And in Karamoja, we have 31% of the population of the young people. That is a big number, really. You'll get to know that district sends about 30, 20, about 40, very small numbers. Yet at the moment, even the president actually preaches that we should be job creators. Now, what is there to create? We are taking few people to go and learn unskilling. Yet you could actually even earn through this when we are done. I can just give you an example of what is happening. Abim took, Moroto took, all the districts of Karamoja took. So we have about 200, young people who have been identified, and they're going to be, they'll learn these skillings for about 6 months. Yes, the government has also put in money to make sure that these children are maintained in school, but there are other things that they actually lack. About a week ago, I was communicating with the chairperson for NAPAC, and she had visited the school. Students interacted with them, and they got to know, yes, the government provides food, but there are other scholastic materials that they don't have. And when you don't have, you cannot really stay comfortably in school. This is something that really needs to be addressed. So as the youth leaders of Karamoja at National Youth Council, we're going to make sure that we contribute as much as it is little. We buy them and take it to school to make sure that they complete their 6 months in school. But as they're also learning, we are going to talk to those that train them to make sure that they teach them with how to make soap. Soap is very important. When this soap is made at a later stage, they could use it for their own consumption, but also go and sell, which money is going to help them, and they will be running the affairs of whatever they will need in school. So I think those are some of the things that we need. Yes.
Thank you.
Back to my DCDO. He asked a question today that how have the young people actually contributed to the economy of Uganda?
Yes.
I am very happy to respond to this question. I was having an interaction with him, but before me, I had a manifesto that were reality based, that would actually impact the lives of the young people of northern Uganda. But one, in these different districts, we have land officers. I believe we have them.
Yeah.
We also have environmental officers. Okay.
Mm.
Now, when I was interacting with him, sometime back, the youth council for Abim, by then, lobbied for land from the community. And they were given this land. It is not titled. We, as the young people of Karamoja, everyone now wants to listen to whatever issues we have and see how best they can actually address them. We, as much as God has not blessed us with very good climate, we could still actually put something on the ground, and we could actually even harvest. So number one, I was telling him, why don't we, he told me, why don't we title this land? It is important because it is going to serve not only us, but the next generation. Once we have it, the land is already secured and protected, and any young person can actually have access to some of this, which may benefit us. Now, the ministries, such as Ministry of Agriculture, there is no way if a young person writes to them requesting for seedlings to come and plant on their land and they are denied. These things just need combined efforts. For us, we have gone ahead, just that I haven't discussed with the Council of Karamoja Caucus, but it is one thing that we are going to adopt to make sure that we run to all the responsible bodies within the district to make sure that we actually request for land, it is availed to us, then we can put in something. One thing that I've gotten to know is that the land is actually next to a dam that will help us with irrigation. So those opportunities, I feel, should be
Conclude.
adopted by us, and we implement, because within the next 5 years, you'd also want to see what you have actually done for the young people. I
Thank
think
you.
with that,
Thank you so much. We have only one statement for everyone to make here. I want just to hear from you one of the most important steps that you think we can do next especially when it comes to youth inclusion, participation, representation, when it comes to accountability. Just in one sentence.
Thank you so much. But before I give you one sentence, I had something to submit, and leaders are here. I need to talk about the issue of climate change, specifically the drought.
Yeah.
I need to be honest, I'm an expert of climate change there, but the issue of climate change in Karamoja historically has been mishandled. They are climate change, which is drought, causing vulnerability, which has gender dynamics. They are looking at only one aspect of adaptation, giving posho beans, but they are not looking at resilience. They are not looking at adaptive capacity. For climate change knowledge, we need to look at their concepts there: vulnerability, adaptation, resiliency, and adaptive capacity. If they can build adaptive capacity in Karamoja, this will not be there, because the question is, food ratios are just a response. But this was for the expert of disaster. Now back to the youth. How do we involve the youth in this? The issue is that the youth are, Honorable Oko is saying that they are lamenting, but they are lamenting because they feel marginalized. The question is one, is their budget being given to them? So one way to involve them is with the civil society and the government, is that in each and every aspect, budget serves the sub at the parish, but budget serves the sub county at the districts. Honestly, should be given to the youth. I have, for us in our organization, we have made structures, and the youth are the lead in these things. During the political period, we were a bit worried, because when they could do the youth, they were being blackmailed. But Karamoja, we are a bit safe. So, Mr. Dennis, CDO from Nakapiti, the one of Cotido, Madam Magdi, display these budgets and tell the youth this is your opportunity. So they can follow up the money from the parish up the cow. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, before I mention the last statement, our colleague, the former chairperson of Nabilatu, encouraged the youth to join politics. I want to report that politics has become highly commercialized, and the youth do not have this money. My appeal to this forum is for us to make election malpractices very risky. But as for now, the practice is that people who are convicted of election malpractices are allowed to contest. When you compare with the corruption, when a technical officer is convicted, he's barred from public office for 10 years. This is injustice on our side. So we also want government to come up with reforms that when you are convicted, you don't contest for 10 years. And then the other thing is, I'm also advocating for age limit in politics. Once you have reached 60 years, why do you want to remain in that political office? We need to see more people dying in parliament because they have reached the ripe age. No, this is not allowed. So finally, I want the youth to take the issues of accountability very seriously. The youth leaders that are here, there is a funding opportunity for you. There are two accounts. There's one which comes to the district. You're entitled to 12%. Every quarter, report to our office that how much has come. How do we spend it? And then two, you have also been directed to open up a bank account. There's money that comes directly from the National Youth Council. So let's also take that funding opportunity very seriously. As youth leaders, you are our supervisors. Even when you walk to the office of the cow will tremble a little. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think mine was to annoy the youth to rise up to the challenge. And indeed, I want again to say, if our economy, somebody, I felt insulted when they say, what are the youth contributing to the economy? To the economy. The youth are indeed supposed to and are also contributing a lot. And if we have to change everything as a country, we must invest in the youth. deliberately, let us invest in the youth. And let the youth also be deliberate in taking up the power that they have. Actually taking the authority so that they can use their power of numbers to be able to. In terms of, I want again to say, when it is time for elections, dear youth, nominate, even for the position of president, district chairman, LC1 chairman, that is that, and so that we can drive decisions. I think we should change the narration. If we want to, if we have to decommercialize politics until we introduce youth who have not built a lot of assets, that's when politics will be commercialized. Otherwise, for as long as we keep on fearing, let 90 youth contest against one rich elder and remove him. So, yesterday I was listening, maybe to drive to my conclusion, I was listening the other day to Elon Musk, and I believe him that we are worried for now about inflation and downturns. But in 2050, we shall be too rich and worried about deflation. What will drive this? The engine is AI. That phone that we are handling, the laptop, which is by the preserve for the youth, at least for now, is the one which is going to drive. Starting from 2031, we shall be having inflation at 0 until we'll go to negatives. It means we shall go to deflation. People will be too rich. So now, the only countries that will remain poor are the ones that will have left out their youth. The game changer is education. I don't know whether it is true, but the other day I was watching on TikTok that President Ruto has now introduced universal university education. That until for your parents you are willing to pay, then you just go and offer the lecture. You say, this is my money, which was supposed to be for school fees. But otherwise, universities in Kenya are going to become free. This is also the thing I call upon the government of Uganda, sitting now at home, not as LC5, that let us have deliberate efforts to educate our people. Somebody said reskilling, to reskill people who have already gone to school. I have done information technology. I do not know how to create, to make a computer. Maybe I would have opened my company a long time ago. Now, it's the same for the rest of many people, that they are educated but do not have skills. We must be able to skill. My call to government is skill the youth, educate the youth, finance the youth, give the youth slow financing, so that you can have a youth take a loan which they are able to pay after 25 years. Countries are doing that. Not picking a loan today, then next year 10%. The only patient loan currently we have is PDM. And it is only 2 years. And it is less, it is 1 million. No serious youth will consider it a loan. In fact, for us in Karamoja, we think it's a grant that government has just given, which I love to hit. But of course, I call upon us to sensitize our community that this money is a loan. It is supposed to be given. Then, lastly, build the capacities of the youth. Even when I was talking about to take up for leadership, most of the youth do not have leadership skills, including management skills. Even when we are talking about monitoring, they don't know how to monitor. I have been having youth counselors coming, loitering, and that they are monitoring. You must have a skill to monitor, to administer, to manage, to speak, to write. All these skills must be deliberated to our youth so that we can join the global economy, which will be experiencing deflation in 2050. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Thank you. To applause to our panelists. As we close, the panel is closed. Thank you again to you, the.
Pedorio, tayo na tayo ko. Ang bawanya kaya kero. Abo yun kaya kero bingo. Logo yun kaya kero. Yun kaya kero.
Yun kaya kero.
Yun yung tulama na natar kanya.
Ya ramad niya.
Tulama na kaya buta ni ngayon to pergi na.
Ntar saya pitela yari akai kako. Ay la tar tingela tuan.
if I have like to be having enough land and support, yeah, I could have actually big, actually something like even 18 acres.
Amni ya kwa dila jila toru koroi. Kain bay nchini ya mamuda ke ane te cha ni kwe kokwa. Egu ake anacha. Yo kokwa karayar kaken ba tolo de cha.
Create that awareness in girls that whichever dreams they want, they should not be suppressed by the talks of the elders or the cultural norms. They should really come up and speak.
Experiences that you have shared today, we promise that those have been documented, and this will not stop here. It's going to inform a number of discussions.
Abo yini ke kalau bingu. Logo yini aga bero. Yini aga bero.
Yini aga bero.
Yini tu lama na pergi ni.
Ya ramad niya.
Ramana pergi buta ni ni to pergi dah.
Ntar saya pitela yeri agai kako. Ay la tar tingela tuai.
Boy tete be mama kiboro.
If I have like to be having enough land and support, yeah, I could have actually big, actually something like even 18 acres.
Amni ya kwa dila jila toru koroi. Kain bay nchini ya mamuda ke ane te cha ni kwe kokwa. Egu ake anacha. Yo kokwa karayar kaken ba tolo de cha.
Create that awareness in girls that whichever dreams they want, they should not be suppressed by the talks of the elders or the cultural norms. They should really come up and speak.
Pedulio, tanya apa jauh ni? Ambo mana kaya kero? Abo yini ke kalau bingu. Logo yini aga bero. Yini aga bero.
Yini aga bero.
Yini tu lama na pergi ni.
Ya ramad niya.
Ramana pergi buta ni ni to pergi dah.
Ntar saya pitela yeri agai kako. Ay la tar tingela tuai.
Boy tete be mama kiboro.
If I have like to be having enough land and support, yeah, I could have actually big, actually something like even 18 acres.
Amni ya kwa dila jila toru koroi. Kain bay nchini ya mamuda ke ane te cha ni kwe kokwa. Egu ake anacha. Yo kokwa karayar kaken ba tolo de cha.
Create that awareness in girls that whichever dreams they want, they should not be suppressed by the talks of the elders or the cultural norms. They should really come up and speak.
Pedulio, tanya apa jauh ni? Ambo mana kaya kero? Abo yini ke kalau bingu. Logo yini aga bero. Yini aga bero.
Yini aga bero.
Yini tu lama na pergi ni.
Ya ramad niya.
Ramana pergi buta ni ni to pergi dah.
Ntar saya pitela yeri agai kako. Ay la tar tingela tuai.
Boy tete be mama kiboro.
If I have like to be having enough land and support, yeah, I could have actually big, actually something like even 18 acres.
Amni ya kwa dila jila toru koroi. Kain bay nchini ya mamuda ke ane te cha ni kwe kokwa. Egu ake anacha. Yo kokwa karayar kaken ba tolo de cha.
Create that awareness in girls that whichever dreams they want, they should not be suppressed by the talks of the elders or the cultural norms. They should really come up and speak.
Pedulio, tanya apa jauh ni? Ambo mana kaya kero? Abo yini ke kalau bingu. Logo yini aga bero. Yini aga bero.
Yini aga bero.
Yini tu lama na pergi ni.
Ya ramad niya.
Ramana pergi buta ni ni to pergi dah.
Ntar saya pitela yeri agai kako.
Consolidate some of the key issues
that we've raised. I had shared with the patients and some other team members, it would be good to project in case I miss out something. Reading is not our first talent. So today at Strikers Hotel, we've made some commitments from this youth summit, but I would like to shed light on some of the background, what we call the preamble to this commitment. For now, the document is called draftly as Strikers Commitment. Henry and everyone has said, I'm called Gordon. Yes, I'm Gordon and Obin. I work for Veterinary Sans Frontiers, VSF Belgium, here in Moroto. But I'm also one of the early initiators of the PESA, especially the youth advocacy project with the Kayese. So I'm part of this, and advocacy and youth inclusion has been something that runs through our veins, and we believe when we work together with the youth, we can sustain the future. So on the preamble, we are saying that Karamoja, as we know, I would like to switch the tone of presenting about ourselves. We said it must be more positive, and I would say every document we present, let's do the problem statement more as a potential statement than a problem statement. So Karamoja is uniquely positioned to contribute both locally and nationally to Uganda's ATM's driven tenfold economic growth strategy. So I believe we are all aware of the ATMs. If we don't know, there are lots of assignments coming your way. Because of Karamoja's resilient livestock breeds, because of the rich rangelands, we think through the agro-industrialization, we can be able to support that backbone of livestock and meat value chains. We're already positioned to do that, to support in the area of agro-industrialization. We also see there is untouched landscape, very rich cultural heritage. We have a lot of wildlife. Some of you just saw the giraffe for the first time today in
Ay la tartingela tuan.
If I have like to be having enough land and support, yeah, I could have actually big, actually something like even 18 acres.
Kamni ya kwa dila jila toru koroi. Kain bay ncheni ama muda ke ane te cha ni kwe kokwa. Egu ake anacha. Yo kokwa karayar kaken ba tolo de cha.
Create that awareness in girls that whichever dreams they want, they should not be suppressed by the talks of the elders or the cultural norms. They should really come up and speak.
Pedorio kaya apa jauh ni? Ambo mana kaya kero? Abo ini kaya kalau minggu. Lupa ini agak baru. Ini agak baru.
Ini agak baru.
Ini tu lama dah nanti ni.
Ya ramah ni ya.
Lama lama lagi buta ni ini tu kering ni apa?
Ntar saya pitela yeri akai kako. Ay la tartingela tuan.
If I have like to be having enough land and support, yeah, I could have actually big, actually something like even 18 acres.
Kamni ya kwa dila jila toru koroi. Kain bay ncheni ama muda ke ane te cha ni kwe kokwa. Egu ake anacha. Yo kokwa karayar kaken ba tolo de cha.
Create that awareness in girls that whichever dreams they want, they should not be suppressed by the talks of the elders or the cultural norms. They should really come up and speak.
Pedorio kaya apa jauh ni? Ambo mana kaya kero? Abo ini kaya kalau minggu. Lupa ini agak baru. Ini agak baru.
Ini agak baru.
Ini tu lama dah nanti ni.
Ya ramah ni ya.
Lama lama lagi buta ni ini tu kering ni apa?
Ntar saya